profit opportunities right now in the American dollar. The world banks and financial institutions are looking to the U.S. dollar for profit and stability. So should you. Call International Currency Management now at 1-800-678-1119. We can show you how a $5,000 investment could have resulted in a return of over $20,000 based on a recent U.S. dollar-Japanese yen move. Learn how foreign exchange trading can protect your assets and diversify your portfolio. Get our free market report on the crisis in Asia and what it really means to you. Call 800-678-1119. That's 800-678-1119. See exactly how $5,000 could return $20,000 or more in the next few months. Of course, there's risk involved. You need to check this one out. Get the free report and strategies for the U.S. dollar now. Call 800-678-1119. That's 1-800-678-1119.
I'm Rick Federici with a look at WLS traffic and weather at 6:07, watching an accident inbound Bishop Ford right near the Rhine merge itself. Now, the Rhine in from 95th holding steady at about 32. Delays from the Bishop Ford I-57 merge into about 71st and right around Cermak on in through downtown. Outbound Kennedy commuters in for a cramp because of an earlier rollover at Chicago. That's been cleared. That's really affecting you, the inbound Rhine commuter coming through that Hubbard Street tunnel to jump on that outbound JFK. Now, the travel time from the Ohio Street feeder into O'Hare right now at about 30. Coming inbound, beautiful. No complaints on the Edens either way. North on 55 looking decent between Joliet and County Line. One should make it to the Tri-State about a half an hour from that point into Lakeshore Drive. Otherwise, we're faring nicely on most of the area tollways, with the exception of eastbound I-90, the Northwest Tollway just before US 20. We've got a rollover semi there in the ditch. This traffic report is brought to you by ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Tonight, watch World News Tonight, the information source that makes sense of what really is happening in the world. World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, weeknights at 5:30 on ABC 7. When you're on the go and you need to know, Chicago's News Talk 89 WLS.
WLS Chicagoland weather cloudy today with light rain possible in the morning and afternoon hours. Rain could change to snow tonight. Tomorrow cloudy, a 50% chance of light snow. The high both days in the upper 30s. And that's where we are now. 37 at O'Hare, Midway, and DePage, and 38 on the lakefront. And I'm Jeff Hendricks, News Talk 89 WLS.
Today, there are more than 5,000 tons of nuclear waste stored in Illinois.
But with one vote, Senator Dick Durbin can change that.
Because soon, Senator Durbin will vote on whether to move nuclear waste from 107 nuclear power plants throughout the country to a specially designed storage site in the Nevada desert.
It's a chance to do something good for the people of Illinois and the nation's environment.
Nuclear waste is stored safely today, but most experts agree it makes more sense to store it at one site in the desert than at 107 nuclear power plants across the country,
including 13 in Illinois.
Senator Mosley Braun and a bipartisan majority of the Illinois Congressional delegation supports this plan.
Call Senator Durbin at 202-224-2152. Tell him to vote for the nuclear waste bill and send nuclear waste on a one-way trip out of our state.
Because nuclear waste belongs in the desert,
not in Illinois.
Paid for by the Nuclear Energy Institute.
Why do we keep Phil Crane in Congress? Is it because he was there at the beginning, helping President Reagan bring America back and defining the very meaning of the word conservative? Or is it because he's an effective advocate for lower taxes and real tax reform? Capital gains taxes cut, estate taxes reduced, child tax credits passed, flat tax hearings set. Or is it due to the respect he's earned from taxpayer watchdogs like Citizens Against Government Waste, who proudly call the congressman a taxpayer's hero? Or is it simply because, right here at home, Phil Crane's leadership means 1,300 people will go to work today at Northrop Grumman? Wetlands along the Des Plaines River will be preserved, and new floodgates on the Fox River will protect families' homes and memories for generations to come. Congressman Phil Crane, effective Republican leadership, a record worth keeping.
Paid for by Crane for Congress Committee.
The longer you listen, the more you'll know. Chicago's WLS, the Big 89.
Here we go again, shipping lots of soldiers to the Mideast desert. We'll whip Saddam once more, just like we did before. As we depart, raise our middle fingers. Here we go again, fighting better than an army has a right to. will deal a crushing blow to our Iraqi foe. Oh, here we go again. When you know, when you know.
Good morning, Don, Wade, and Roma, welcoming you to your Little Clock Radio or your car radio. Thanks for joining us on WLS News Talk 89. It's 6:11. This portion brought to you by by Infinity of Orland Park. What happened yesterday, I know, is difficult to understand for some people, and we want to make it as clear as possible for you. We discussed what would be happening yesterday. Now it has happened, and we must explain it because there are an awful lot of people who don't understand. There was a town meeting yesterday. We talked about it. It was limited to CNN. They called it an international town meeting. And the White House limited it to coverage on CNN. And we discussed whether that was proper, improper, what did we feel about it, and a lot of you called and expressed your opinion about it. Prior to the town meeting, so that you'll understand how this worked, and I'm going to walk you very slowly through this, and briefly and concisely you will hear how this developed yesterday. Now, Roma and I have put together a series of snippets of tape from all of the coverage, and I think this will make it pretty clear. Prior to the town meeting, a taste of some of the reaction on the street to the idea of bombing Saddam Hussein.
Absolutely, I'm opposed to that because it's not solving any problem. I think Mr. Clinton, what he's trying to do, cover his scandal, what he's doing in the White House, First of all, this thing, Saddam Hussein, no one in the Arab country agree what he's doing, But now people have been hurt by what's Mr. Clinton doing.
What would you do instead?
Wait.
Oh, I'm glad it's not my decision, but I think the man is a megalomaniac, and diplomacy he doesn't understand or doesn't want to even think about. And I don't know what else the world's going to do, but it brings up a larger question is that part of the world, particularly the Soviet Union, a lot of the weapons that they have are not very well guarded and could come under the control of, any number of people with the same aspirations.
All right, that was reaction prior to the town meeting yesterday, which took place 1 o'clock Chicago time in Columbus, Ohio, dead center in the American heartland, as the White House wanted to have it characterized. Well, even some of the president's closest advisors acknowledged that yesterday the town meeting was a fiasco. And the president's foreign policy team is taking the blame. The official line at the White House was, it was a clamorous democracy at work. But the White House knows that the fallout is real. There was a disruption. There was more than a disruption. It was chaos. As the raucous town meeting came to an end, the faxes started flying. Critics in Congress called it, among other things, an unmitigated disaster. Congressional critics said that the uproar in Ohio proves the country is deeply divided.
I think a lot of people who have served our country are saying, if you're going to put troops in harm's way, if Americans are going to die, is it going to be worth it?
That's Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison. The deep divisions were quickly exploited by Iraq and played up on foreign newscasts.
She's already been heckled by anti-war protesters in the audience who drowned out what she was trying to say.
Only Tuesday, the administration said that it wanted the town hall meeting televised on CNN, in part because Saddam Hussein could be watching. If so, says the Brookings Institute's Richard Haas, it clearly backfired.
I would expect that sitting in his bunker, Saddam would have gotten the sense that this was quite a controversial issue here and then some, and it might actually make him more likely to be tough when UN Secretary General Kofi Annan comes a-visiting.
The idea was to send a message to Saddam. Some people said that they hope the Clinton administration knows how to run a war better than it knows how to run a town meeting. How was this played in the, let me see, in the media on NBC?
Talk talk of war. In the heartland, the hard sell for attacking Iraq, but cabinet officials find themselves in the line of fire.
Yes, and on World News Tonight on ABC with Peter Jennings, what did Peter say?
Good evening. We're going to begin tonight with a public relations offensive that did not work out at all the way it was planned. The president's foreign policy team, the secretaries of state and defense, and the president's national security advisor went out as a trio today in search of public support for military action against Iraq. It was billed as a town meeting at Ohio State University and was deliberately held right in the middle of the country, in the heartland, so to speak. The White House made a deal to have it televised on CNN, and so it was seen all over the world. And as it turned out, the administration took it right between the eyes.
Right between the eyes. And on Crossfire, Bill Press said...
Good evening. Welcome to Crossfire. The war drums were beating again today. One day after President Clinton took the case for bombing Iraq to the Pentagon, the president's top 3 foreign policy advisors took the case to the American people. Well, at least they tried to. If the American people support military action, you couldn't tell it today in Columbus, Ohio. A town meeting broadcast exclusively around the world on CNN was rocked by both cheers and a lot of jeers.
On that Crossfire program last night, in case you missed it, Robert Novak was taking the position on the right, Bill Press on the left. And Robert Novak was talking for a portion of the program with Lawrence Eagleburger, former Secretary of State. And listen to this.
Chairman of the House Republican Conference, John Boehner, says this was an unmitigated disaster. And he talks about
Ambisol cold sore therapy. Put it on. The pain is gone. Use only as directed.
Restoring the winning smiles of the New Jersey Devils is just one of the commitments Dr. H.U. Gardy makes. CNA works closely with Dr. Gardy, the team dentist for the New Jersey Devils hockey team, providing him with professional liability insurance. With more than $60 billion in assets and over a century of experience, CNA can help manage the broad range of risks you face. For your business, home, auto, and life. CNA, for all the commitments you make.
If it's news, we're talking about it. Chicago's WLS, the Big 89.
There is something that is wrong, 'cause Saddam won't show his bomb stockade. The UN is mad at Hussein, so we're flying in U-2 planes just to persuade. And yes, we might invade. Lay down, Saddam, we want to check your arms. UN thinks you need someone to inspect you. Lay down, Saddam, don't give them guys the boots. We're just wanting, oh so bad, to drop a bomb on you. Lay down, Saddam, we want to check your arms. UN thinks you need someone to respect you. Lay down, Saddam.
Okay, good morning. It's 6:40, 20 minutes to 7 with Don, Wade, and Roma. Yes, you can count on WLS News Talk 89 to tell you exactly what went on yesterday, just about any day. We have put together a series of clips from just about every network and source that we can find. We have gleaned the newspapers from not only this country but around the world and have come up with what we think are the things that you should know about.
A capsule. This is like a time capsule of all the goodies that you need.
All right. I promised that we were going to play this clip, and we're going to get to it. But I want to do them in some semblance of order. At the town hall meeting, we had William Cohen, Sandy Berger, and of course the lead of the group, the Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright.
The big hat.
And they were all dumbfounded by the fact that it was the whole thing fell apart right from the beginning. When Madeleine Albright was interrupted right toward the beginning. You've seen that on all the newscasts. But let's get to some of the questions. I think the questions are the thing. Let's go to, this was an ER physician. This is a doctor, an emergency room physician from Columbus, Ohio. And he asked a question.
John Kashabek. I'm an ER physician here in Columbus. My question is, this administration has raised concerns about Iraq's threats to its neighbors. Yet none of these neighbors seem to be threatened. They haven't asked for help and, in fact, have come out publicly against the bombings. Furthermore, the international community has been opposed to the bombings. If nobody's asking us for their help, how can you justify further U.S. aggression in the region?
Okay, let's go to question 2.
Secretary Albright, my question is, why do you think the other members of the Security Council have been reluctant to support the military action other than the Great Britain?
Good question. Now let's get to the question that the caller asked about just before the 6:30 news here at WLS. Here's the question.
Yes, I have a question for Secretary Albright. Why bomb Iraq when other countries have committed similar violations? Turkey, for example. Can I finish? For example, Turkey has bombed Kurdish citizens. Saudi Arabia has tortured political and religious dissidents. Why does the U.S. apply different standards of justice to these countries?
Let me say that when there are problems such as you have described, we point them out and make very clear our opposition to them. But there is no one that has done to his people or to his neighbors what Saddam Hussein has done, or what he is thinking about doing. I am very...
About Indonesia. Well, you've turned my microphone off.
That Saddam Hussein has produced weapons of mass destruction, which he's clearly not collecting for his own personal pleasure, but in order to use, and therefore he is qualitatively and quantitatively different from every brutal dictator that has appeared recently, and we are very concerned about him specifically and what his plans might be. You have a
Thank you. My microphone is off. There we are. What do you have to say about dictators of countries like Indonesia, who we sell weapons to, yet they are slaughtering people in East Timor? What do you have to say about Israel, who is slaughtering Palestinians, who impose martial law? What do you have to say about that? Those are our allies. Why do we sell weapons to these countries? Why do we support them? Why do we bomb Iraq when it commits similar problems?
At that point, Madeleine Albright definitely evades the question.
There are various examples of things that are not right in this world, and the United States is trying... surprised that people feel that it is necessary to defend the rights of Saddam Hussein, when what we ought to be thinking about is how to make sure that he does not use weapons of mass destruction.
She has evaded the question, of course. The questioner, though, is...
Do you suppose that was the longest 90 minutes of her life?
It had to be. The questioner went on.
Just a moment.
I'm not defending him in the least. What I am saying is that there needs to be consistent application of U.S. foreign policy. We cannot support people who are committing the same violations because they are political allies. That is not acceptable. We cannot violate UN resolutions when it is convenient to us. You're not answering my question, Madam Albright.
You study carefully what American foreign policy is, what we have said exactly about the cases that you have mentioned. Every one of them have been pointed out. Every one of them we have clearly stated our policy on. And if you would like, as a former professor, I would be delighted to spend 50 minutes with you describing exactly what we are doing on those subjects.
That's interesting that she offered to spend the 50 minutes, and earlier on she had talked about the fact that she was willing to spend time with those who were heckling and who were thrown out of the auditorium. She said, I will spend time with you afterwards. Bernie Shaw and Judy Woodruff of CNN did use that to quiet the demonstrators later, saying, now look, Madeleine Albright, our Secretary of State, has said that she will stay afterwards and talk with you and answer your questions. Guess what? They were out the door like that. Now, let's go to Nightline.
They were probably wiped out.
I want to go to Nightline here because, and let's skip the opening. Let's go to Ted Koppel. Ted Koppel met with and followed the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and the National Security Advisor, flew with them on their plane to Columbus, Ohio, stayed with them, was with them backstage. Ted Koppel said,
both inside and outside the auditorium, the reception will be more contentious than anyone had expected.
Let all the people speak!
It will not be an easy 90 minutes for the president's foreign policy team.
So the 2 o'clock town hall, to 1 o'clock our time, was designed to be prime time in Iraq for Saddam's viewing. So what did Saddam see?
Can I finish my statement?
There were no more than a few dozen protesters at most, but they were loud. And the images hurtling to Iraq at the speed of light showed panelist and moderator slightly rattled, struggling to be heard.
Can we please have order in the hall, please?
Nor were the questions going to be routinely polite.
Are we willing to send troops in and finish this job? Or are we going to do it half-assed?
And Ted Koppel...
They were asked a lot of very perceptive questions. And it was an image they were trying to create, and they were trying to create it for the enemy. My question is, what image did this create in your mind witnessing it?
Well, in Ted Koppel's mind...
Messages with the blood of Iraqi men, women, and children.
Let me say that what we are doing is so that all of you can sleep at night.
It had not gone well. The protesters made an impact far beyond their numbers, in large measure because so many other members of the audience seemed neutral about their own support for the administration's policy.
Right.
As for the impressions left overseas, they could hardly have been of a U.S. government in firm control of its own public opinion.
That's pretty scary.
Well, the image it left in me was the image of a very reluctant, at best, reluctant America and an unsteady foreign policy team.
Yeah. Jim in Elgin, you're on WLS. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. You know, you could almost tell from the first minute that this was going to be a disaster.
Oh, when they first stopped
were
Madeleine Albright, when they stopped her dead in her tracks, she didn't know what was going on.
And it was eerie. It harkened back. I was was a teenager in the Vietnam era. It harkened back to that kind of era.
Where our president cut his teeth. I mean, that's where...
It was also a comment on how phony all these previous town meetings have been. This was a real meeting.
Yeah, that's the way they are. If you ever go to your town hall meeting when there's a contentious issue locally, something about zoning or whatever, go there, see what it's like. It gets vigorous.
And Roma, this was the best breath of fresh air ever to come in this darn administration, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
you guys have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
The questions were very tough, very perceptive. They reflect questions that we have out here in the heartland.
The New York Times, a friend of Bill, a newspaper, their lead editorial this morning, a raucous meeting on Iraq. Let me read you only a few sentences out of what is a long editorial about Madeleine Albright, William Cohen, and Samuel Berger traveling to Ohio State to explain America's Iraq policy to the heartland, expecting a warm reception and a dignified setting. Instead, they found themselves parrying hostile questions and competing with noisy bands of protesters, all of it broadcast around the world by CNN. I underlined the points. The event was a fascinating barometer of a country divided or at least uncertain about whether to use military force against Iraq. There were moments that were eerily reminiscent of the protests and passions generated by the Vietnam War. The three officials seemed startled by the emotions unleashed by the debate and strained to keep their tempers in check when rudely challenged by questioners. Important was the sense that the division on display in Columbus bears close watching by President Clinton and others. And they end the editorial, it is clear Mr. Clinton still has a good deal of explaining and convincing to do. It's 9 to 7, the WLS Chicagoland weather.
Light rain possible in the morning and afternoon hours with a high in the upper 30s today. Tonight, that rain could change to snow, 60% chance, low of 33. And for Friday, a 50% chance of light snow with a high in the upper 30s.
37 at O'Hare, 37 at Midway, DuPage, 37. The Lakefront, 38. It's 8 until 7. The WLS traffic with Rick Federici.
So far, we've got an inbound Kennedy minor accident off to the side right at Kimball, a stall at Fullerton in the right lane, and another reported problem right near Ashland in the left lane. So watch out, inbound JFK commuters. Travel time just jumped to about 45. It's only going to get worse with the gapers, and as they move this stuff in and out of the area, watch for the problems on the outbound side with gapers as well. Travel time as you're leaving downtown from the Ohio Street feeder into O'Hare, holding just about 40. Eisenhower either way, just about 45 between 53 and the post office. North 55 starting to fill in right near County Line. Otherwise, from the Tri-State into downtown, just over a half an hour. Pretty comfortable on the outbound line, but inbound slows off the Bishop Ford I-57 merge into about 71st, and a crunch right around the Stevenson on in through downtown. Outbound Rhine, we've got an accident now reported at 18th, and also as you're moving right now on the northbound side of the Tri-State, a disabled vehicle off to the side right near 95th Street. This traffic report is brought to you by Hard Copy on CBS 2 Chicago. When you're on the go and you need to know, Chicago's News Talk 89 WLS.
7 until 7 at WLS. And Roma, is that your little red book?
You can't beat this city for all the joys of life. There's a long drive. Way back. Might be out of here. It is.
For almost 30 years, Harry Caray was Chicago's baseball ambassador of fun. He could squeeze fun out of the dreariest days and the losingest team and give his beloved fans their favorite baseball memories, surrounded by the sunshine on ivy-covered walls, the cold beer, the hot dogs, the laughter and friends, singing and sunbathing. He was a hard-living, fun-loving legend who literally glowed in the dark, the ambassador of fun. Few things said baseball more than Harry Caray. Few people lived baseball more than he. The baseball of the fans, how he loved them, with whom he shared the agony of every blown lead, the ecstasy of every ninth-inning game-winning hit. He truly took us out to the ball game, and the seventh-inning stretch in Wrigley Field will echo hollow forever after with his memory. I like to think when the lights went out of Harry's eyes that all of heaven heard the crack of a bat, and as he peered through those goggle-like beer bottle glasses and looked through the pearly gates, he shouted, "Holy cow," and then bellied up to the bar and hoisted a cold one, singing and swaying with the big guy, while the heavenly chorus sings back up. What a life. While we earthlings weep, heaven echoes with his laughter and song. He's certain to make it more fun. Holy cow.
My wife, Dutchie, thanks you. Our children all thank you. And from the very, very bottom of my heart, I thank you. Thank you very much.
Why do we keep Phil Crane in Congress? Is it because he was there at the beginning, helping President Reagan bring America back and defining the very meaning of the word conservative? Or is it because he's an effective advocate for lower taxes and real tax reform? Capital gains taxes cut, estate taxes reduced, child tax credits passed, flat tax hearings set. Or is it due to the respect he's earned from taxpayer watchdogs like Citizens Against Government Waste, who proudly call the congressman a taxpayer's hero? Or is it simply because, right here at home, Phil Crane's leadership means 1,300 people will go to work today at Northrop Grumman? Wetlands along the Des Plaines River will be preserved, and new floodgates on the Fox River will protect families' homes and memories for generations to come. Congressman Phil Crane, effective Republican leadership, a record worth keeping.
Paid for by Crane for Congress Committee.
The workplace. It's not like it used to be. It's faster paced, less forgiving, and it takes a lot more to get ahead and stay ahead. So where can you find help? The new Jobs section in the Sunday Chicago Tribune. The new Tribune Jobs section is filled with fresh ideas and expert advice to help you meet the challenges of today's workplace. Information to help keep your career on track. Articles on high-tech jobs, and a focus each week on a different industry, so you can learn about new opportunities or changes that may affect you. We've even added new columnists to tackle provocative issues and analyze trends. And you'll still find Carol Kleiman, Lindsay Novak's question and answer column, and thousands of job listings every week. Read the new Jobs section in the Sunday Chicago Tribune and get even more career help at chicago.tribune.com. And now for a limited time, pick up the Sunday Tribune for just 99 cents at participating stores. 99 cents for page after page of must-have information and exciting ideas. The Chicago Tribune. If you're looking for insight into today's workplace, find it here.
Today, there are more than 5,000 tons of nuclear waste stored in Illinois.
But with one vote, Senator Dick Durbin can change that.
Because soon, Senator Durbin will vote on whether to move nuclear waste from 107 nuclear power plants throughout the country to a specially designed storage site in the Nevada deserts.
It's a chance to do something good for the people of Illinois and the nation's environment.
Nuclear waste is stored safely today, but most experts agree it makes more sense to store it at one site in the desert than at 107 nuclear power plants across the country,
including 13 in Illinois.
Senator Mosley Braun and a bipartisan majority of the Illinois Congressional delegation supports this plan.
Call Senator Durbin at 202-224-2152. Tell him to vote for the nuclear waste bill and send nuclear waste on a one-way trip out of our state.
Because nuclear waste belongs in the desert,
not in Illinois.
Paid for by the Nuclear Energy Institute.
I used to think I'd always be able to get around by myself. But when the pain in my legs got worse, I knew I needed a wheelchair. The thought of not being able to afford one made me feel helpless. Then a friend told me about American Medical Supply. If you're a Medicare or Medicaid recipient, American Medical Supply can help you get hospital beds, walkers, inhalers, almost anything, even electric wheelchairs. They got me a wheelchair, brought it to my house, even showed me how to use it. Best of all, they made sure that my insurance paid for it. Listen, don't live without the medical supplies you're eligible for. Call 1-800-320-7140. Thanks to American Medical Supply, now I go to the market and visit friends anytime I want. Call them at 1-800-320-7140. The call is free. That's 1-800-320-7140.
Like most flyers, you probably think of business class as a luxury, something reserved for the rich, the famous, the CEO. Well, AirTran Airlines believes that even you, weary traveler, deserve a business class of your own. So we're introducing a business class that any business traveler can afford every time you fly. For a mere $25 more than a full coach fare on nonstop flights, $40 more on connecting flights, you can sit in our special business class cabin, featuring extra wide seats, 7 inches more legroom, and 2x2 rows with no middle seats. You can even relax with a couple of drinks on the house. Just call your travel agent or 1-800-AIRTRAN and ask about the business class any business traveler can afford. After all, who deserves it more than you? AirTran Airlines. It's something else. Seats are limited. Upgrades are $25 over full coach fare, not applicable to discounted fares. Upgrades on connecting flights are $40. AirTran Airlines operates using AirTran Airways code.
They give their spirit a workout.
I can come here, I can actually get my workout in and praise the Lord at the same time.
By taking aerobics to a higher power.
The Spirit dances, God moves within us, and we're acknowledging that outright.
What's the latest way to shove those devilish pounds? Sweating to the holies. Tonight at 9 on Fox News Chicago.
All the news from Chicago all morning. Fox Thing in the Morning.
I'm Bob Surratt.
I'm Marianne Murciano.
Join us from 7 to 9 on Fox for homemade and almost locally owned and operated TV.
Frasier.
When radio's dynamic duo has a dispute,
The only mental disorder you've ever cured is insomnia.
Roz gets an offer from Bulldog she should refuse.
All I wanted to ask you is if you'd be interested in producing my show.
But when her new boss only wants to play, can Frasier save the day?
I'm listening.
On Frasier.
Frasier, weeknights at 10 after Fox News Chicago.
All right, yet to come this morning with Don, Wade, and Roma, we have a few more tidbits about the town hall meeting that was such a debacle, such a fiasco, such a disaster for the White House.
And what images they created in your mind, because that was their intent, to create images for the enemy, Saddam Hussein.
Right. Then add to that, we've still got to go to hail to the new police superintendent, Terry Hillard. We have Pets for the Poor, Diane Zamora on suicide watch. Could we be so lucky? Mike McCurry, a fantastic editorial about him, and the figure skating party girl on the skids on her butt. WLS News, weather, traffic, and your calls. Cloudy today, light rain possible in the morning and afternoon hours. The high in the upper 30s, now 37 at O'Hare, 703.
News when you need it. News Talk 89.
Chicagoans are sharing their favorite Harry Caray stories today. Good morning, it's 7:03. I'm Jeff Hendricks, WLS News. When news of Harry Caray's passing was announced last evening, his fans broke out in impromptu tributes. They sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at Harry Caray's restaurant, and at Wrigley Field this morning, fans erected an appropriate makeshift shrine consisting of burning candles atop a stack of beer bottles.
Carey, God bless you. May you be in heaven with everybody else. And make sure the Cubs go all the way this year, because we got it in our hearts, babe. Right here.
Carey will be there forever. He will always be the number one. He is the man. He is the Cubs. Plain and simple. He is the Cubs.
I honestly believe that Harry will send us a miracle this year. And it's not wait till next year. This is the year, baby.
Harry's funeral is, we think, going to be held in his winter hometown of Palm Springs, California. A memorial service will be held next week here in Chicago at Holy Name Cathedral. Our Steve Scott has more on the life and career of Harry Caray.
This coming baseball season would have been Harry Caray's 53rd in the broadcast booth. He had said he was looking forward to this one. After all, his grandson Chip would be working alongside him in the booth for Channel 9. Harry had cut back his schedule in recent years, no longer traveling with the Cubs, but still a fixture at Wrigley Field. He had suffered through a series of health problems, a mild heart attack in 1995, a stroke in 1987, and serious injuries suffered when he was hit by a car in the 1960s. Harry spent his first 25 years as a big league broadcaster with the St. Louis Cardinals. After that came one season in Oakland, followed by 11 with the White Sox, and of course, most recently, the Cubs. Harry Caray is survived by his wife, Dutchie, 10 children and stepchildren, 14 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and, of course, millions of fans. A day at Wrigley Field just won't be the same without him. Steve Scott, News Talk 89, WLS.
Kofi Annan says the message he's getting from Baghdad is that Iraq wants to find a solution. The UN chief heads for Iraq today, hoping to resolve the crisis in meetings with Saddam Hussein. It remains to be seen what kind of reception Secretary of State Madeleine Albright will receive today when she speaks to college audiences in Tennessee and South Carolina. She and 2 other top Clinton administration aides encountered a hostile crowd in Ohio yesterday as they tried to win public support for possible military action against Iraq.
All he wants to do, Clinton said, was send a message to Saddam Hussein. If he wants to send a message, we, the people of Columbus and Central Ohio and all over America, will not send messages with the blood of Iraqi men, women, and children. If we want to deal with Saddam, we deal with Saddam, not the Iraqi people.
Despite the vocal dissent at yesterday's town hall meeting in Ohio, the latest ABC News poll indicates that most Americans back the president's Iraqi policy.
6 in 10 Americans continue to support a U.S. air attack on Iraq, and 64% approve of President Clinton's handling of the situation. While still majorities, those numbers are down slightly, possibly indicating some second thoughts about the risk to U.S. forces. Support for bombing Iraq has slipped specifically among people who think it could put a large number of U.S. servicemen and women in harm's way.
ABC's Gary Langer. White House attorneys are considering whether President Clinton should assert executive privilege in the Monica Lewinsky inquiry. The move would be to limit the testimony of friend and advisor Bruce Lindsay. Lindsay testified yesterday. He's due back on the stand again today. Here in Chicago, a 14-year-old girl is dead following a shooting outside her home. Rosie Ireneo was shot in the back last night at the 2600 block of West 25th Street. Police don't know if she was the intended target or was hit by a stray bullet. Federal prosecutors say they've uncovered the largest food stamp fraud scheme ever found in the Chicago area. 7 people, 6 of them relatives, have been indicted. They own or work at small grocery stores in Chicago. They're accused of defrauding the government out of more than $12 million. In sports, the Bulls are in Toronto tonight. College basketball last night. Illinois beat Northwestern 69-57. We'll check traffic and weather next. WLS News Time 7:07.
I'm here with PC Modem, the computer genius from CompUSA.
Thanks, Bob.
PC, I'd like to get a new computer, but I can't find one that does everything I want it to do.
I keep telling you, Bob, computers don't make cheese sandwiches.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, what's a good choice for my home office?
A made-to-order CompUSA PC. You can get the exact options and features you choose.
Really? Like what?
Like a CompUSA American PC with a 233 megahertz Intel Pentium processor with MMX technology, a 4.3 gigabyte hard drive, 15-inch color monitor, and tons more for just $1599.95.
Could I get more memory or a bigger hard drive or more memory?
These are just examples, Bob. You can get anything you want, like a CompUSA American Pro PC with a 300 megahertz Intel Pentium 2 processor, a 6.4 gigabyte hard drive, 56K modem, 17-inch color monitor, and more, all for just $2299.95.
So the made-to-order CompUSA PC, I can get any and all the options I want?
Yes.
How about a belt sander?
No.
I'll have to think about it.
To order your custom-built PC, call 1-888-2-COMP-PC. That's 1-888-22-66-77-2. Or shop online at www.compusa.com or any CompUSA computer superstore.
Yes, may I help you, young man?
Hi there. I'm here in Chicagoland going door to door trying to see if anyone will trade their Ameritech Yellow Pages for this shiny new Brand X directory.
Oh, is that one from the phone company?
Well, no, but it's from a company that has a phone.
Oh, gee, it doesn't look like it has as much stuff in it.
Well, what kind of things do you usually look up?
Nurseries. I garden a lot.
Okay, let's see here. Novelties, notaries, nurseries. There you go.
No, see, the Ameritech Yellow Pages has a lot more nurseries than that.
Yeah, well,
and they've got big ads so I can see who sells variegated nasturtium, native verbena.
Whoa, aren't those viruses?
No, perennials.
So you're sticking with the Ameritech Yellow Pages just because it has lots of display ads with funny-sounding plants?
Mm-hmm.
You won't even give this other book a chance?
No, I don't think so.
Might grow on you. Get it? Nurseries grow on you.
That wasn't funny.
No.
Don't get fooled by imitations. Make sure you have the genuine Ameritech Yellow Pages, the only book with the Ameritech logo on the cover and more of everything inside.
Ameritech. In a world of technology, people make the difference.
I'm Rick Federici with a look at WLS traffic and weather at 7:08. We're going to run down the travel times quickly for you. Inbound Edens, 30 from Lake Cook down to the Kennedy. Outbound slows from Foster to Chewy. 40 on the inbound JFK from the airport to downtown. 35 on the reverse track. About 45 either way on the Eisenhower. Between 53 and the post office. North 55 delays Casson to 83. First into Pulaski. Just about 41 in from the Tri-State. In on the Rhine, a snug spot between the Bishop Ford I-57 merge into about 71st. Right around the Stevenson on in through the circle. 35 from 95th Street through downtown. Northbound Lakeshore Drive in pockets right around 57. Northbound Tri-State, an earlier problem off to the side near 87. Southbound slows right around the Deerfield Toll Plaza as well. This traffic report is a service of Jewel Osco. Refreshing, that's the word for Jewel Osco's value on Pepsi or Coke. $4.99 a case with your preferred card. Limit 1 through Wednesday at Jewel Osco. When you're on the go and you need to know, Chicago's News Talk 89 WLS.
WLS Chicagoland weather, cloudy today, light rain possible in the morning and afternoon. Rain could change to snow tonight. Tomorrow cloudy with a 50% chance of light snow. The high both days in the upper 30s and tonight's low 33. Right now it's 37 degrees at all 4 reporting stations. Our next traffic and weather update at 7:20, news at 7:30. And I'm Jeff Hendricks. News Talk 89 WLS.
Car and Driver. It's a publication about cars and drivers. This is what Car and Driver had to say about the Infiniti QX4. We quote, "Arguably the most comfortable, most refined, and most luxurious ride of any sport utility vehicle in the world." Lofty words from a pretty demanding source, but not surprising to an Infiniti owner. Consider an interior teeming with leather, power everything, a 150-watt Bose audio system with CD player and cassette, and the automatic all-mode four-wheel drive that makes a Windy City winter a little more manageable. If you were to lease a QX4, Car and Driver might give a quote on you. Something like, "Has a real flair for recognizing the obvious." Look into this special Infiniti lease offers available now at your Chicagoland Infiniti retailer. The Infiniti QX4. Own one, and you'll understand.
Creative Inc. That's creative with a K. Welcomes all dentists, hygienists, dental assistants, and spouses to the Chicago Midwinter at McCormick Place this weekend. Creative is introducing Power Gel, an amazing system for whitening your patient's teeth in less than 1 hour. There will be demonstrations and lectures on the hour at booth 212. Also, lectures on the new science of microdentistry will be held at island number 844. Listen to Doctors Tim Rainey, Kim Cooch, and Stuart Rosenberg. Learn how this technology can provide your patients no shot, no drill cavity preparation and make their dental experience safe and comfortable. These are exciting times of change in dentistry. Go to the Creative booth and see the technology for the new millennium. If you cannot attend or want more information, call 1-800-KREATIV. Communicate with us on the WLS Chicagoland Dodge Dealers fax line at 312-984-5283.
Sodom is a nut who doesn't like inspectors, 'cause they'll catch him with nerve gas. Sodom sent them home and disobeyed the UN. Now we'll have to kick his ass. Bomb. Iraq, it's you we're gonna bomb.
7:12, 12 minutes past 7 o'clock with Don, Wade and Roma. This portion brought to you by Infiniti of Orland Park. This year, join the battle against AIDS. Participate in the Twin Cities, Wisconsin, Chicago AIDS Ride 3, presented by Caray. Call 773-880-8812 for information. It's quite a morning after the bombing question in Columbus, Ohio.
The big bomb was the triumvirate sit there, I think, because it...
I know they were talking about it on Politically Incorrect last night. Bill Maher said...
Well, whether you like it or not, it looks like we are going to war because the UN pulled out most of their advisors yesterday. That's a sure sign the